Hi there, this is Keith with How to Build Your Own Home, and I want to do a walkthrough. I learned that a lot of the comments I get from a lot of subscribers is that they like it when they kind of job shadow me and watch what I notice and what I pick up and stuff like that. So we're going to walk through a home. This here is a home for a client that's moving here from out of state. Really cool guy. Hey Joe, his name's Joe. And this is probably one of the more energy efficient homes I've ever built. The roof line is going to be an aluminum shingle roof, a full radiant barrier, 100-year warranty. The OmniBlock system here, highly efficient. We'll walk you through some of that. This home is going to be here for 200 plus years without changing anything. It's going to be that efficient and that easy to maintain. The only thing that you'll have to maintain on this house, literally the only thing, is this post. We'll stain it. So when this post gets to be a little bit weathered, just come out and stain the post and put a new covering on it. Other than that, everything's going to be on this house. It's going to be here for a very long time. So when your kids come through town, come check out the home, and you'll see that it's going to be here for a long time. Let me walk you through a couple of things that I go through on a job. I check it out, see how the windows are being placed. This is just before my mechanical starts, and they're starting. My electricians are here actually working. But I want to take you to the mechanical room, because when you've got your mechanical coming, which is your plumbing, your heating and ventilation, and your electricians, they need to be lined out. So I came out and lined them out. We've got a mechanical room here that's actually accessed from outside. And outside, I hope I'm not making you guys too dizzy here, we've got a covered porch. And we've also got another covered porch over here. If you remember, I did a post or a video a couple of weeks ago, maybe a month ago, on those metal brackets and saddles. Well, this is how it came out. Looks really great. Real clean look. Client's gonna love that. I've got them on all of my posts all the way throughout here. So let's go in here to the mechanical room, show you what we've got. This is a mechanical room access from outside. And we've got our ventilation system right here. Now this building is roughly around 2,500 square feet, and we are able to service all the square footage in this entire building with one unit, not two. That's because of the nature of this wall. This wall has styrofoam inserts right inside the wall. In fact, we have some left over right here. Got styrofoam inserts right here. So I'll show you what it looks like. So these foam inserts are literally inside the wall, and there's a double layer. So basically, I've got one here, and then I've got another one right there. If you were to open up that wall, it's highly insulated. So we contacted the company with OmniBlock, Denny, down there at OmniBlock, and we went through the calculations. And this barely fit. We were able to get just one unit in here rather than two. Saved a lot of money on my heating and ventilation, so that's going to help us. So we can take some of the money from that and move it to some other areas. Then we're going to put our water heater here, tankless water system. I've got all my plumbing coming up out of the ground right here. That'll come up along the wall. I told my plumber, just let it dangle, and we'll actually box this in, kind of help frame it in and get everything secure. And then we do have a drain in the floor over here for future use if it's needed. And that saves a lot of space in the ventilation room, the mechanical room, for storage and brooms and all kinds of other miscellaneous things. We do have some additional power coming out of the wall over there if we need to. Wasn't sure exactly how things were going to line out, so we made sure we had some additional power if we needed to. Let's walk out. The ventilation is being installed right now by my HVAC contractor. A couple things I noticed, and this was the responsibility of my mason who installed this. All my windows are in. As you can see, this window over here is installed. This one I couldn't get installed because my block was about 1/4 inch too high, and so they couldn't insert the window. So I had him come and shave that. And you'll find that masons are good and great and okay. And masonry on a big home like this, you'll find that if you look at your grout lines, they're not perfectly a 1/4 inch on every one of the grout lines because the foundation wasn't perfect. And what I told my mason, I says, just make sure the top of the wall height is perfect. That's all I need, is to make sure that the top of the wall is perfect, so he could make some adjustments as he went forward. Otherwise, they have to make that adjustment at the bottom and level everything at the bottom. But it was going to be harder to do that rather than shoot grade, 3 or 4 feet up. So I let him shoot grade higher up than lower down. So this here window got crunched by about a 1/4 inch. So he came and shaved that, and then the window installers will come on Thursday and get this one installed, plus the one over here around the corner. This one here was also a 1/4 inch too high, so you can see where he shaved that down right through here. So again, you hold back on, if you've got a subcontractor, whether it's foundation or framing or something like that, let's say they submitted their invoice for the original estimate is $28,000. I will typically hold back $1,500 or $2,000 from that entire invoice so that I can hold something back until it passes inspection. When it passes inspection, then I will release that final amount to my subcontractor. And that kind of keeps them on the hook until, yeah, I got to get back so I can earn some money. Always like dangling a little bit of a carrot in front of them. And so he was able to come back and fix that and get that all fixed. I'm happy that he fixed a block wall across over there. My excavator banged in the wall, messed it up. So I'm seeing that he got that done. And so he's listening to me, he's following through. Great, it's awesome. This is a new mason I've been working with. Same thing with this window here. It was off just a 1/4 inch, and the window was not going to fit in here. So he shaved that down, and he put some thin set on it to really level it off. And that window, which is right behind me, that will get installed on Thursday. All right. My roofer, I made sure, I told him we had some really nasty rain. Make sure you get the house dried in. I really want it dried in before a certain date, and he did. So the roof is all dried in. I just came from another job, and they're starting to frame, and it snowed really bad. It's up in the mountains. There's snow everywhere. So I spoke with him today, and I says, hey, schedule to dry in that job Friday afternoon, because they're going to roll trusses Wednesday, and they're going to dry that. He's going to get that dried in late Friday. That way I know when weather comes again, I'm not going to have a headache. I don't like my stuff getting wet. I don't like it at all. It's not fun. It makes the wood just get damaged. So a couple of things over here I noticed. We've got power coming into the wall so we can supply outlets in the kitchen through here. And when we measured things out, we were just a little bit off. So I had my framer go ahead and fur this out and fix that. And it actually strengthened the wall because we had a weak point down here at the bottom. Because we have a conduit coming up out of the ground right there that's going to feed power for an island right here. And that weakened the wall, so by furring it out, we strengthened the wall and solved a couple of problems. No, I'm not going to show you who my framer is. He's pretty awesome. I've got some great framers. You know that I used to watch the NBA years and years and years ago, and I used to watch teams, and it was usually the team with the deepest bench that won championships. And sometimes now I don't think they go after a deep bench, but I've got a deep bench when it comes to concrete and framing. I'm kind of pleased with that. Wanted to share with a couple things right here. That's my electrician in the background right there. It's a shower that I wanted to share with you, and I kind of stress this on a lot of my jobs. I do a lot of slab on grades, so I do what's called a zero threshold tolerance, meaning that there's no step into the shower. You literally walk into the shower. And this is a little deeper than what you would typically want. This is about 3 inches deep. Notice that there's backing along the wall because I use a bladder system on my tile work. I don't use the Schluter system, and I don't use all that fancy stuff. I use what works, and the bladder system has been working for 30 years. I pass all my tests with bladder systems. I've had the other system and the Red Guard and all that, and I've had leaks on those, but I don't have a leak with a full bladder system. So they'll literally put the bladder system in there. I'll have a pan test, they'll fill it up with water, then the inspector will come and make sure that, yeah, it's holding water, it's not leaking, great. And then they'll go ahead and fill it up with some concrete, get the proper slope, and then they'll get it prepped and ready for tile. But you're going to want to make sure you got backing between your studs along that shower so they can put that bladder system up along the back side of that. All right. Then a couple of things on framing when you go through. Again, this is just before mechanical. I held back about $1,500 on my framer because I came back last week and I asked him just before he was able to finish up. I looked at the planes, the roof planes, and you have to say to yourself and think to yourself, okay, how is this going to be insulated? Well, if you look at here, I've got a roof plane coming down straight down to the top of the wall here, and it goes all the way over that way, and it goes all the way over this way. And there's no way for the insulator to get in from the front of the house all the way to the back to blow in insulation in this area. So, I don't know if you can see it, we put an attic access right up here. With that attic access, now he can blow in insulation along the whole back side of the house. And I noticed something over here. I've got, of course, a covered porch right here. This is the main part of the house. And over here, we've got the garage part of the house. And he wants this insulated, very comfortable, because he's going to have like a workout studio inside the garage. I may just have blow-in insulation all the way across this, rather than have to tie in insulation all the way to the top of there, and then it's called bats, just put in bats all the way to the top of that. That would be kind of a pain. So I'm just thinking I'll just blow in insulation all the way across. So thinking about how some of your subcontractors are going to get access. I once built a home about 15 years ago, and I forgot to put a crawl space for the attic. And this little skinny guy says, "Don't worry, I get in through the roof." I go, "What?" He goes, "I can cut a hole in the roof." And he literally cut a hole maybe about 12 inches wide, and he fit inside that hole. And he was all dressed in garb, and a really skinny guy. And he went in there and blew insulation everywhere and got it all done. And he popped himself out and patched up the hole, and he was done. Well, I feel bad. I've seen some insulators have got a big belly that they wouldn't fit through that. So ever since that day, I said, I'm going to make sure I have access for my insulators. And so I've got 3 crawl space or 3 attic accesses for the attic here in the home. And so I've solved for that. When you've been through enough and you make some people suffer, you say, "Oh, I don't want to make somebody suffer this time. I want to make sure I solve for that." So, just a couple things. I'm getting my plumbers all lined out, my HVAC lined out, my electricians lined out. I really want to get them in here. And people ask me, which one should you have first? Should you have your electricians in first, or your plumbers in first, your HVAC in first? Ideally, it would be best to have the fattest person come through first, which is your HVAC, your heating, ventilation, and air conditioning. Then your plumber, because they're the medium-sized guy, they've got pipe about that big they've got to fit through. And then your electricians, which are smaller, and they can work around a lot of those other mechanical subcontractors. But it doesn't always work that way, so right now my electrician's here first. Luckily, there's a lot of elbow room in this home, and there's a lot of opportunity to fit things around. In really tight homes, I really want to get my plumber in here first, my HVAC, and if they can work together, that's great. And then the electrician comes on, after all that. That's ideally. Sometimes it doesn't always work that way, but that's typically what I wanted to do. A couple of things outside, and I'll let you go. I don't have gas stubbed to the property yet, and they will not come and stub until my plumber gets here to stub out gas. Now, gas can be installed by a lot of different subcontractors. And typically, it's your plumber. If it's in a high build area, they'll install gas sometimes. I have one plumber who's licensed to do gas install. He'll do that. My plumber here typically subs it out, and I'm okay with that. He runs it, he manages it, he lines them out, so it takes that kind of headache off of me. And I don't mind the small little upcharge for him to do that. But he needs to punch out of the side of the house where gas is going to be, and typically that's going to probably be over here on this north side of the house. Once that's punched out, then the gas company will come and line out a trench and install their gas line all the way to the street and do a stub out. And then they'll put the meter on when the stucco and finish work are all done near the completion of the home. But that way you can get your landscaping done and everything. I have 2 more utilities to bring into this home, both power and gas. I've already got water, and I've already got my sewer line. I did a post on that over here a couple weeks ago and what that cost, because that was not planned for, having to take that out to the street. I did get my house all dried in, so that's all dried in. I'm really excited about that because, wow, we had some really nasty rain. So all the way over here, got it all dried in. So I'll give you some more posts on this job. Kind of a really flat rambler with a country feel. Probably, again, like I said, one of the more efficient homes I've ever built. I'll give you some more posts as we get near completion. And once we get mechanical done here in the next 2 to 3 weeks, we'll start closing it up and sealing it up, and it's going to be a fun little job to get this one wrapped up. Anyway, some walkthroughs. This was kind of a little job shadow with Keith at How to Build Your Own Home. You guys take care.